What it do, y'all? It's your girl T Down there, aka the owner of Female Hip Hop Now, but also a person that's introducing a new segment called Tism, right? And on Tism, we really talk about like hoochism and what it means to be a woman that is really just in tune with who she is. And what I mean by that is, does not mean that you're perfect in every action that you do is perfect or you have life figured out. You are going to navigate it from your internal self. And so, what I want to talk about is like what I am going to dabble in Tism is actually how female hip hop actually allows for women to get internal validation. A lot of y'all are probably like, how does hip hop give women internal validation? Easily, it definitely does. So when we think about female hip hop, when we think about hip hop itself, it's basically just poetry talking about the things that's going on around you, right? And what's better to really talk about the current state of black women or the current state of black society than female hip hop? So a lot of female hip hop songs that you've heard has been controversial, like songs like WAP, songs like Crybaby, female rappers that are controversial like Lotto, Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B. All these women are seen as controversial because they do not fit in a box. And what I want you to understand, or people to understand, is that black women are not going to fit in a box because black women aren't just one carbon copy. And so what this means is that a lot of times the music that we will hear will really give you a landscape of what it is to be a black woman in today's times. Now, a lot of y'all are saying, hey, that's not fair. There's more intelligent black women out besides female rappers, yes. But when we think about the black woman's thought, when we think about intelligentness, when we think about intelligent conversations, we're not getting those anymore from podcasts because the intellectualism of black community has been watered down. And so what we have to do is find ways to turn that intellectualism or turn some things that we hear into intellectualism. So for example, um, some things that I'm noticing is like with Megan Thee Stallion's music, she has a song called Anxiety, right? And that could be turned into black intellectualism. Because in that song, she's basically saying, these are the things I'm going through, this is what's happening. Please, someone understand me. Don't just see me for my pretty face, my fat ass, and my banging body. Understand that I want to be seen. And that pours back into internal validation, because when you no longer can depend on your face, your body, your hair down to your ass, just the things that a lot of black women aspire to have when it comes to taking care of ourselves, what are you going to depend on? And what I notice is that a lot of female hip hop has validation to it. It may be external or internal, but it is validating music. And so what I am seeing is that we are lacking a little bit of internal validation, meaning that, do you listen to yourself when you talk about things? Do you depend on yourself when you need advice? And so what I want us to talk about and just want to talk about is internal validation coming from you and only you. So I've been through some struggles in my life these past couple of years, and I realized that I struggle with getting the validation for what I need internally. I look for it externally, social media, music, family members, or even friends to really tell me that I'm doing okay. But once I hit these struggles or these challenges in my life, I had to realize, okay, what am I going to do to tell myself I'm doing okay, even when things don't look okay around me? Because at the end of the day, everything I'm going through is in alignment with the path that I need to go or need to land for that season God wants me to be in. And so what I had to do is, one, I had to change the music that I listen to. Not saying that all music is trash, but if I'm listening to music that is heavily on external validation, I need to listen to things that speak to me, that want to speak to me. So I changed got into a lot of artists. I also am glad that a lot of the female artists that I listened to that were external validation turned into internal validation, like Megan Thee Stallion, JT. Those are two artists that I hear giving themselves a lot of internal validation. Some new artists that I got into is Doechii, Destior, Cash Doll, which is another artist that I always listen to. Started listening to a little bit of Trina more because it was internal validation. And so I started to realize that, oh, black women's music is intellectual. It's just not intellectual to the others that don't understand it because it's not made for them. It's made for us. And so what I started to realize is that the reason why I feel that the generation of women struggle so much are just black women, because we don't look at ourselves like for internal validation, which is inside. And so that is something that I feel like we need to really, really zone in on. And how does this line to hoochism? Well, I feel like hoochies validate themselves internally because they're already telling themselves to not do what is normal, or to not meet these standards of respectism standards. Oh my God, these words is twisting. That society wants them to meet. So what they do is they push into their own thing to validate themselves, right? Now I can already explain to you what the hoochie style is, but it's also internally. You're telling yourself, for example, one of my favorite hoochies portrayals is Marty from Jason's Lyric. Marty knew she wanted more. And what I love about it is it never seemed that she was settling permanently. You could tell that Marty was literally growing throughout the movie, because some things that she was settled for, it'll be times where she would talk to Jada's character Lyric and it would start slowly clicking for her. And so that is a character I want to like portray as internal validation, because yes, she asked Lyric for advice, but at the end of the day, she chose to navigate and make her own choices. And I really wish the writers would have wrote a part in like for like a hope core that Marty really just realized that she need more. Like the realization hit and she was able to act upon it instead of seeing her work through it. Right. And so getting back to internal validation is like what I see in what I'm studying is that there was a long time where we didn't really listen to what's inside. And because we're not doing that because we're on the internet. Like, yes, right now you're probably looking at this video like, oh, this is external validation. Yes, but is it persuading you or hoping that you get some internal validation by like sitting with yourself, right? Listening to your thoughts, figuring out what you need, journaling, talking to yourself. And what I mean by talking to yourself is just talking out loud in your house if you can, if you live by yourself, right? Recording yourself talking, just get some internal validation, because what I fear and what I am seeing is that everybody is outsourcing, and you could only outsource your validation for so long. You could only really depend on, oh, they said I'm pretty, I'm pretty. You can only depend on Instagram likes for so long. You can only depend on your significant other telling you you're gorgeous for so long. Not saying that that's ever going to stop. It's just that when you're sitting with yourself and you're by yourself and you feel empty as a woman, what are you going to tell yourself that you're beautiful? What are you going to do to tell yourself to keep going? What are you doing? What are you going to do to just uplift yourself, right? Um, and for my religious girlies, like the Bible, right? How do you be able to dig in that Bible by yourself when the pastor's not preaching, right? How do you go get that word? And so, what I'm trying to say with this Tism, this long one, please make sure you get some validation internally. Please make sure you get some validation internally, because if you do not get the validation internally, the external validation is going to make you, and the same thing that makes you is going to break you. You cannot break yourself if you make yourself. Does that make sense? So make sure y'all love yourselves. This is this week's Tism. Y'all have a great one.